Want to find your seat for the event of your choice but can't get one that fits your desire or your budget? Well, my friends, SeatGeek has you covered. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show. With a list of over hundreds of events to choose from, SeatGeek will assure you that you won't miss your seat with the amazing view of your choice at the most affordable price. Whether it's looking for your best seat in the house of your favorite sports team, finding live concerts to get you closer to your favorite artist, or enjoying your spot at your favorite live shows, comedies, and more, SeatGeek has it all just for you. Go online to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. And as a special offer before checkout, use promo code SNAKESPORTS and save yourself $20 off of your purchase of your first ticket and experience why SeatGeek is the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Remember, that's SeatGeek.com and download the app on your phone with promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off and find your seat with SeatGeek.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are officially live here on the Snake Sports Talk Show on a beautiful Thursday here for you, wherever and however you may be watching. Thanks for making us a part of your lovely evening. We are live on all platforms and now officially live on Roku, iHeartRadio, and all social media platforms. You could like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell button, and keep you up to date on future and past shows wherever you get your podcasts and wherever you basically find your show. We've got a lot to talk about from here. No interviews today. We're basically taking a break tonight because we got a lot to really kind of cover and look at here as far as the NFL is concerned, because the draft is right now draft month. We're right around the corner from it. So I'm really excited about what this is going to basically look like come draft night. Final Four as well. Really excited about Caitlin Clark. We'll get to that here in a minute. So yesterday, Stefon Diggs was traded from the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans. Now, we discussed pretty briefly about the whole trade, basically saying that Stefon Diggs, yes, is very much a viable weapon to the Buffalo Bills and what he's basically meant to Josh Allen and the offense. Now, is he the sole offense of what makes the Bills, what moves the Bills? Not necessarily, because Josh Allen ultimately is the heart and soul of the Bills. When he either runs the football or he either throws the deep ball, that's basically Josh Allen's game. Now, we can admit Josh Allen had a different kind of style of offense once his successor, Brian Daboll, took the job with the New York Giants. What does this mean right now going forward for the Buffalo Bills? Because we haven't been able to kind of disclose a little bit more about the Bills. Because right now, Buffalo has been that organization that just comes up short. They've had great teams. The Jim Kelly, Andre Reed years, Thurman Thomas. They've had an awful lot of great successes offensively and defensively, but they could never get over the hump, and they could never end up getting the Super Bowl victory that they wanted. And so at this point, Buffalo has kind of been a snake-bitten organization. And yes, it has been years since they've been in the playoffs, since they've won playoff games, until Josh Allen arrived. And then by that point, you've got a really good head coach in Sean McDermott. He's going to be tested by the end of this thing. Because come draft night, now you need to find a true number one receiver. Now, some of the reports and some of the news, because right now the Bills sit at 28th in the draft in the first round. So they've got long ways to go. And where they sit at is basically kind of hard because a lot of the top tier receivers might be taken pretty early. Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas, and Marvin Harrison Jr. So a lot of those receivers might be taken pretty quickly. But make no mistake, they definitely have room to potentially end up moving up however they choose to do so. But Buffalo has to basically figure this out because Josh Allen, like Justin Herbert, doesn't have a 1 or a 2. Okay, Curtis Samuel is not your true number 1. Okay, Samuel is more of a veteran slot receiver that could definitely give you the catches, give you the yards that you need to, but he is not a true number 1. He's been past that since his Carolina days. And in the end, you're not going to have him very reliable. Khalil Shakir, I like the kid, watch the kid at Boise State, but even he's not a true number 1. So Buffalo needs to figure this out. This right now puts Sean McDermott on the pedestal because he's either going to succeed or he's going to be walking out the door if he cannot get this draft right. The last few years for the Buffalo Bills, they've decimated on injuries when it came to the offensive line and on defense. It has not looked great. And in the end, Buffalo has just been kind of cut short. But I would say Brian Dable was a big-time successor that helped Josh Allen's game so that he doesn't end up making a lot of mistakes. And at the same time, it got him out of the shell of himself. So at this point, when you watch Josh Allen play, yeah, he's a terrific player. Don't even tell me that you saw this coming out of Wyoming. Nobody did. When he came into the league out of Wyoming, which who honestly, in the right mind, ended up paying attention to Wyoming football? Barely anybody. Mountain West Conference games, besides Boise State and a couple of other programs, nobody paid attention to Wyoming. Let's get real with this. So Josh Allen comes into the league. People believe he's very erratic. People believe that he basically leans more towards his strength of his body and his body build, and that's it. But then by the time Brian Dable came around as an offensive coordinator, NFL, college experience, he started soaring. Josh Allen took off from there. So losing Stephon Diggs, yes, hurts the Bills, but he is not solely all of the offense. All of the offense relies on Josh Allen. Yes, he's a part of Josh Allen's success, but he is not the sole purpose of the offense. They needed to develop a run game. I feel like they finally have with James Cook. And they got more weapons. They got the kid Dalton Kincaid from Utah last season. They needed another secondary weapon. Now you need a true number 1. And much like Justin Herbert, he's not getting a whole lot of love like C.J. Stroud is in Houston. Stephon Diggs, I don't really see him as far as long-lasting with Houston, but he's good to have. We'll get more into that later. But I think ultimately for Buffalo, it's putting Sean McDermott on the pedestal because you either ace this draft and you need to and you have to, or you're going to be out of a job. And multiple coaches would die to have this job. Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, and maybe potentially, if things don't work out with the Giants, Brian Dable. Why not bring Brian Dable back? Josh Allen would very much sign off on that deal. So Sean McDermott has a lot of work to do. You got to fix that O-line. You got to get more weapons. You got to basically get guys that you know are not going to be decimated by injuries, that are young, that are fast, that are quick, and guys that are going to basically want to play. So Buffalo has a lot to consider. But I think ultimately, if you get the receiver right and you get an offensive lineman, maybe go and get the best defense that you can that's still available. Then I can honestly say McDermott is here for the right reasons. I think he's a really good coach. Love his personality. But in the last few years, you haven't gotten past the Chiefs. You then lost to Cincinnati. So Buffalo fans, enough's enough. They do not want to end up watching Buffalo go back to its dark days like they were before after Jim Kelly. So you got to help out Josh Allen any way that you can. But Josh Allen is the sole reason that the Bills will be in the playoffs. I don't trust very highly of Miami, even though I love their offense. I love their coach. I love exactly a bunch of really good pieces that they have, but they lost a lot of defensive pieces. They lost a lot of them. So Miami's going to look completely different. But if they end up competing with the Bills, and if, let's say right now, because the Jets solidified the left tackle position, if they compete with the Bills, the AFC East is going to be very interesting for the next few years. But I see that as possibilities. So ultimately, Buffalo's got to get this right. All right, let's shift over to women's basketball. So as you right now know, and I actually spoke about this to all of my colleagues at Sports Wave Network that were basically showcased on here. And I've worked on this network now. It's fresh. It's new. I've been working on this for several months now. And I've got the best creative minds that create content. I've got the best people who are very open-minded, who are just like me, who basically we're not looking for like hot takes, even though they're very interesting takes. That's what we look for. Interesting takes. Something that maybe you and I have never thought of before. But I have the best people that I know that are hardworking, that are dedicated, and they love this program. They do. So when I started talking about it, I started talking about play-by-play showcasing. And the things that got brought up was the WNBA. Caitlin Clark is obviously a number one overall pick. You already know that. And she's going to go to the Indiana Fever. Okay, there's no question about that. Angel Reese, you know she's going to be the number 2. And there's about 2 to 3 more women in college basketball that are also going to be very impactful as well. This is, speaking of it, shout out to Lady of Gold. It's honestly a golden year for women's basketball. It really, really is. Caitlin Clark is arguably one of the best athletes, current prospects, that I think has glued us to a television, and rightfully so. Caitlin Clark is everything that you want her to be. An absolute scoring machine, somebody who's very vocal and is dedicated, and is also somebody that you cannot teach this. This is self-taught. This is years of dedication. That's who Caitlin Clark is. So, Caitlin Clark, all throughout this year with college basketball, she got her revenge against the LSU and Angel Reese, and in the end, they're in the Final Four. I see Iowa completely taking it all. Because as long as she is on the court, as long as she is consistent, gives you shots, gives you assists, and at the same time gives you stops, whatever it may be, blocks, steals, whatever. As long as the possession is on your side of the court, that is what Caitlin Clark is meant to do. And so when talking about showcasing for the WNBA, we're going to be basically showcasing the first game she hits the floor. When she is there in the WNBA. You bet your ass that we will. And because that draws a lot of television ratings. By the time that she gets into the WNBA, she will be there with Angel Reese, Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart, and many, many others in the WNBA. This is the golden age right now of the WNBA. Ratings are going to be going through the roof. In basketball, the only athlete and player that we currently have in the NBA is LeBron James. As far as domestic players are as far as you look at domestic players. And then I would also say Jason Tatum. We do not have an awful lot of an overhaul of domestic players that can make an impact in the league. Right now, the league is basically shaped by Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis, and also Victor Wembanyama. They're all foreign players. They're all built differently. They're coached differently. This league has become much more international than I could even recall. I loved the days when I would watch Michael Jordan. I loved the days when I would watch Allen Iverson. I would watch Kobe. I would watch Shaq. And in the end, I would watch classic, competitive basketball that meant more. And it was much more physical. It was more meaningful. It was load management stuff. And then at the same time, the NIL and endorsements, promotions, so much of the stuff. I mean, look, it's one thing to basically get paid because of your licensing. It's one thing. But it's also another when there's so much load management and you're not out there on a Saturday night for star players. If you're not out there on a Saturday night, I'm losing majority of my taxpayer dollars on the ticket. It's just inexcusable. Many people, even Colin Cowherd, voiced about this and said it's inexcusable. It's unacceptable to not be there on a Saturday night. All the stars that you know that should be there up on the court, that should be there to basically showcase their skills. It's one thing if you're on it's one thing that if you are on a Tuesday night, then go ahead, get some rest. But make no mistake about this. I mean, this is basically what you pay for. Honestly, I've been to a WNBA game. Before I left Vegas to go to Denver with my wife and I caught a game. I watched the Aces and the Liberty in person. Breanna Stewart is unbelievable. And the Liberty have a really good roster. And the Las Vegas Aces, back-to-back champions, they've got a great roster. And with Candace Parker, and they've got an awful lot of really good experience, and ultimately Becky Hammon. Oh, yeah. This is a culture that is looking to win multiples. That's just 2 championships. So you could bet that the WNBA, their ratings by the time that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese start coming in here, and especially with a bunch of those stars, the NBA and Adam Silver really need to crack down on this, and they need to fix it. Because ultimately, the NBA is going to eventually become a snooze fest. Major League Baseball doesn't draw the ratings that ultimately, when you start to look at this and you start to basically kind of see right now with what the NBA is turning into. I have been saying this for years. The NBA is starting to get softer. I cannot watch a single minute when there's so much flopping going around. And then there's load management. I'm not getting my stars on a Saturday night. It's one thing if it's on a Tuesday. But the NBA needs to be better. But let's stop with the hate. Caitlin Clark is another one of the great athletes that we are blessed to have, honestly. Because if we don't have another great athlete, who are we honestly going to end up focusing on? LeBron? LeBron has literally only got a couple of years left to play until he retires. He wants to play with his son, Bronny. We're really going to gamble on that? I've got so many foreign players from Luka to Jokic to Giannis to Wemby. The NBA is getting better, but it is much more global and international than it is becoming. Where's our domestic stars at? Where's our guys that can compete with these guys? And ultimately, there's not a single person. In the WNBA, let's show some love and let's show some appreciation for it. Caitlin Clark is great. And in the end, when she hits the floor in her very first game, because I anticipate her being number 1 overall to the Indiana Fever, when she hits the floor, she is going to draw a crowd automatically. I've got a friend of mine that lives in Indiana, and I guarantee you he's probably going to end up going to a Fever game if they're playing the Chicago Sky, if they're playing the Las Vegas Aces, if they're playing the New York Liberty. I guarantee you. And us at Sportswave Network, you better believe that we are going to be there showcasing and covering all those games. We are. Because Caitlin Clark is what glues my eye to the television. She does. Much like Michael Jordan did. Much like Kobe did. I don't get that kind of nostalgia with LeBron. Not like what we used to, but I don't get it anymore. So best believe, let's just stop the hatred and let's honestly love and appreciate with what Caitlin Clark is doing right now, even in the Final Four and eventually going to the WNBA. Let's do that. Let's love it, because ultimately the WNBA has been waiting for stuff like this. I mean, from Asia Wilson to Candace Parker to Brianna Stewart. I mean, hell, there's been so many really great WNBA players. Let's stop the hatred and let's appreciate it more. The NBA needs to be better at this. Good stuff. I mean, seriously. I mean, Caitlin Clark and many others, when you have a great athlete that you just can't take your eyes off the television on, that tells you something. That means you are just waiting for what's next. I mean, everybody has a favorite television show, right? Everybody has a favorite television show. Everybody has a favorite trilogy of movies. Like, you could not wait for like the next movie installment, right? You couldn't wait for the next episode of your favorite show or the next season. I mean, good God, we've been going almost an entire year without another season of Yellowstone. Kevin Costner is just that great. He's that good. And when there's no Yellowstone, when there's no season of Yellowstone, everybody freaks out. That's what happens. Everybody freaks out. Not a lot of stuff coming up today, but I do have one thing as we take a break. So everybody, I've been looking all over on social media. Everybody right now is still continuously saying that Justin Herbert is an overrated quarterback. He cannot end up winning the big games. But now he has Jim Harbaugh. And I'm going to share with you what quarterback he is getting the similar treatment from, because we saw this years ago. Okay? And they both are very similar to their walks of their NFL career. More on that coming up next. All right, guys. Well, as I've said, March Madness tournament, we are finally in the Final Four, and BetUS has you covered on all of the best sports book takes. They've been doing this stuff for 30 years, and they're still going strong. BetUS has all the best that you could look for in your sports betting today, whether it's single bets, whether it's parlay leg bets, whatever it may be, throughout the rest of the Final Four and to the national championship of March Madness tournament, to Major League Baseball, and what you can expect from the up-and-coming playoffs are right up around the corner. Whatever it may be, BetUS has you covered on all of the best lines, and also for casino entertainment. Go and check it out for yourself. BetUS has you covered on everything that you want. Casino entertainment, sports betting, and so much more. When you go online to BetUS.com, tell them Jake the Snake sent you here. When you sign up, link is in the description to sign yourself up on BetUS today. BetUS.com, BetUS, where the game begins.
Listen up, sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
Check out the Con Man live on the Sports Corner, coming to a screen near you, giving you the greatest stories from basketball legends you've never seen before. Sharing their glory, building the toughness, and how they show off their swag. But only one man knows all that, and that's the Con Man. Join Michael Conceição, the Con Man, at the Sports Corner, Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 Pacific on Sportsway Network.
Key Williams and Dante Criswell star in 7200 Seconds podcast Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Snake Sports Talk Show is sponsored by Muscle Tech, with hundreds of supplements and vitamins to choose from, all packed with 100% all-natural proven ingredients. You can be sure that Muscle Tech will give you the edge and the boost to train and look like your fit and healthy best, whatever your goals are. Try Muscle Tech today and use promo code SNAKESPORTS to save 30% off your purchases.
Don't lose your seat when you go online to SeatGeek.com. That's promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off of your first purchase of your first ticket, whether it's your next sporting event, baseball, basketball, whatever it may be, or getting closer to your favorite artist at your favorite concert. Do not miss out on it when you go online to SeatGeek.com. Download it on your mobile device through Google Play in the App Store. Promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off of your first purchase of your first ticket. All right, so I need to clear some smoke out of the air because ultimately we know draft night is going to be coming right up around the corner. April 28th through the 30th. It is the best yet fun time of year in the NFL because once the draft starts, the 2024 season starts. Everybody knows this. It's the most electrifying, and it's also the most entertaining night of the NFL and the night of sports in general. Because college athletes are going to be coming in to the league far and wide from some of the top schools or from some of the FBS schools. A lot of them. And I'm excited for all of them and for their future successes. So, as I was talking even about the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, one of the smokes that I wanted to clear out of the air is the LA Chargers and Justin Herbert. Many, many people still to this day continues to believe that Justin Herbert is an overrated quarterback. Still, even since he arrived out of Oregon. How? And people are questioning so much. How is Justin Herbert a top 10 quarterback if he's got no playoff wins? Justin Herbert in 2021, that was his first year, or shall I say 22. That was his first year in the playoffs. That's with a coach who obviously was off his skis and had no idea what he was doing. He leaned so much into the analytical thing, basically sounding like a smart coach, but he was not. Defensive coaches tend to get defensive. And that's what Brandon Staley was. He had no plan. Once Justin Herbert got injured, he had no backup plan. Unlike Zach Taylor, who when his star quarterback Joe Burrow went down, he had Jake Browning, and he also had Brian Callahan, his successor as an offensive coordinator, now coaching the Tennessee Titans. They have a plan. Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford goes down, in comes Baker Mayfield, and he's got a plan. Baker Mayfield, his career got turned around thanks to Sean McVay. Their offensive coaches always have a backup plan. They always do. This is why you got to have a secondary quarterback. You do. There's no excuses for that. It's been proven. But Justin Herbert being known as an overrated quarterback is just completely asinine to me. Because since he entered the league, he is the top 3 in passing touchdowns, the top 3 in passing yards, the top 3 in quarterback rating, and in his completion percentage. You know who this reminds me of in this journey road? This reminds you a lot of it, and you may be shocked. But this whole journey road with having not a proven head coach, he's had 2 of them that were not proven. Now he has a capable, competent coach in Jim Harbaugh. But this whole narrative, what's happening with Justin Herbert and not getting a true number 1 receiver, this feels a lot like the first few years of Peyton Manning and his Indianapolis Colts career. It does. Don't at me. Because if you really recall, Justin Herbert and Peyton Manning in their first 3-4 years in the league, they are practically similar stats. They are. Even though Peyton Manning, he's had more wins than Justin Herbert, which will eventually get there. But Justin Herbert has blown Peyton away with passing touchdowns, passing yards, and completion percentage and quarterback rating. Clearly, in those first few years, he's had better numbers than Peyton Manning has. And you have to admit, this was the journey road Peyton Manning had and what Justin Herbert is currently going through right now. Because Peyton, he had Jim Mora as his coach initially when he came into the league. Jim Mora was on the decline. Was not exactly the coach Peyton Manning wanted. Not the coach that basically elevated Peyton Manning. So instead, Peyton then gets Tony Dungy, a defensive coach who understood exactly how to really shape a culture. If you think about it, a former player from the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, tough culture. He built toughness. He built focus. And at the same time, he wants to win, a winning culture. That's who Tony Dungy was. And that's what also included Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, Jeff Saturday, an entire really good offensive line. This took years to build. Because then you also had Dwight Freeney, their edge rusher, Robert Mathis, Bob Sanders. It took years for the Colts to finally at least elevate this group. But once Peyton Manning got the coach, that's where Peyton's career really started to elevate. You don't think Justin Herbert is honestly going to end up having that same deal? You are out of your gourd. Two unproven coaches, Anthony Lynn and Brandon Staley. Now, the unfortunate part with Anthony Lynn, offensive coach, former running backs coach now, and now offensive coordinator, Anthony Lynn provided a lot of a good character quality. He wanted to win. Didn't really have a fair chance because the losing record, and at the same time got their asses handed to by New England in the playoffs, if you guys recall that. But he had a rock star as an offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, now coaching for the Colts. And he's going to honestly coach up Anthony Richardson because now you're going to have to. The Texans are loaded. You got the Titans who also got some players. The Jags are trying to rebound their season with Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence. So Shane Steichen's got a handful he has to deal with. But he was a great offensive coordinator. Great coordinator for the Chargers that built up Justin Herbert's career and then built up and elevated Jalen Hurts' career in Philadelphia. So, but the topic of discussion with Justin Herbert is he's had two unproven coaches and he finally gets one in Jim Harbaugh. If you recall, it did take years for the Colts to develop that culture, for them to be a winning organization. This is also with Jim Irsay. But you got weapons. You got a run game with Edgerrin James and Joseph Adai. And I would also say Dominic Rhodes and then Ahmad Bradshaw. Yeah, you got a run game. And then you got a healthy offensive line with Jeff Saturday and so many others. And a defense that is capable of stopping the opposing offense in the tracks. And it took a long time. But the part of this was Peyton was trying to elevate and beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. I mean, that's what it is. It was a rivalry for the ages. Peyton and Brady. And they've been great. The records have shown for itself. Both quarterbacks showed up. So Patrick Mahomes currently is the best quarterback in the NFL. And he's the face of the NFL. And his foe should be and is Justin Herbert. Rightfully so. Because nobody can stop Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and their innovative play-making style offense. Nobody can. And you've also got a great duo with Travis Kelce. Enough said. The Chargers are going to end up building a strong culture with Jim Harbaugh. Jim loves to run the football down your throat until you cannot end up defending the run anymore. And he also knows, for those who are not familiar with this, Jim Harbaugh took a 1-11 Stanford program, okay, that was garbage. They had nothing. And they were dominated by Pete Carroll's USC team. By that point, it took a bit. And then Stanford started winning games. And that's with Andrew Luck. That's with Christian McCaffrey. That is with Toby Gerhardt. Stanford became a winning program thanks to Jim Harbaugh. Michigan became a winning program thanks to Jim Harbaugh. The Niners went to 3 NFC title games thanks to Jim Harbaugh. Do I need to say more with this? Jim Harbaugh is going to elevate and he is going to get the best of Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert is on the similar track record as Peyton Manning was when Tony Dungy arrived. This is what this looks like. This is not coincidence, folks. We've seen this before. So, in the end, I think that you've got the coach now. You've already got the quarterback. And the Chargers and Dean Spanos did the right thing getting a competent coach because it has been a long time since Marty Schottenheimer. So, people that think Justin Herbert is still an overrated quarterback, just you wait. Just you wait. Jim Harbaugh has had a track record of being a winning coach everywhere he goes, from Stanford to San Francisco to Michigan, and you're going to see that with the Chargers. It's going to take time, but I guarantee you the draft night is going to be exciting for the Chargers. It really is. Joe Ortiz, as his main man, he's going to have a lot on his plate. But in the same aspect and in the same respect, Jim Harbaugh is going to give you everything that Justin Herbert was meant to be as a star quarterback. And honestly, like we saw Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, you're going to see this with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Mark my words, because that is meant to be. That is meant to be what everyone recalls. That is meant to be the best in what the Chargers should be. So I'm excited for this. Ultimately, the Chargers are going to figure out their wide receiver group. They will, and they should, because I do not see them potentially taking an offensive tackle because they already do have an offensive line. They could go and get one in the second or third round. But you need a wide receiver. You need a big-time playmaker next to a lot of these guys, but they do find hidden gems. That is what is interesting. So I like it. Honestly, it'll be interesting to see how the season really does pan out. Time now for the news.
This is the Hot Press.
All right, so we got a lot to really discuss here on the Hot Press, but one of the things that we do discuss and what we have checked is the Houston Texans that acquired Stephon Diggs. Here's an interesting one for people to basically look into and educate on. So the Houston Texans, they get Stephon Diggs in a trade with the Buffalo Bills. But, however, the Texans did something that not a lot of organizations would end up doing. But as part of this blockbuster deal, the Houston Texans ended up wiping out the final 3 years of Diggs' contract, giving him the ability to become a free agent after this season. They also took the $3.5 million guarantee to Diggs next season and moved it up to this season, giving him a raise and assuring him $22.52 million guaranteed money this year. So what this means is that there are two possibilities with the Stephon Diggs deal. Is number one, Texans would either let him walk after this season, depending on it, or they could also, he's eligible for another long-term contract, depending on if the Texans really do see him in the long-term plan. I think the Texans will be a great team because CJ Stroud, you have the franchise quarterback, you are bound to win more playoff games. That's a fact. And then you have a great coach in DeMeco Ryans who understands the game, knows exactly the youth movement. It is going to be really exciting to basically see what the Houston Texans will basically look like come next season. But that is interesting. Not a lot of organizations do this where they just wipe out the contract and he's set now to become a free agent. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Texans and with Stephon Diggs moving forward at the end of this thing. Now, more news on that. So the latest news right now that has been surrounding with the Kansas City Chiefs is wide receiver Rashee Rice. Right now, there have been reports where he was under investigation and also under arrest. So the part of this is the Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice was one of the drivers, one of two speeding sports cars who left after causing a chain reaction crash on a Dallas highway over the weekend. Why Rice left the crash Saturday was a good question that's still being investigated, said by Rice's state attorney, state senator, Royce West. He declined to elaborate more upon that. He basically also added, he's a young man that made a mistake. Heart goes out to those who were injured. The crash involved the Lamborghini Urus, a Chevrolet Corvette, and 4 other vehicles and left 4 people with minor injuries. Listen, as we always know in real life, is that when fame gets to your head and it gets to your ego, you become a completely different person and you're very susceptible to mistakes, to wrongdoing. You're very susceptible to that. So Rashee Rice has a lot of explaining to do, and at the same time, he's got to pay the consequences. And like a lot of athletes do. I mean, have we not learned our lesson from Henry Ruggs and so many others that have basically done the same thing while intoxicated and basically crashed and killed a young girl and her dog at 120 miles an hour, maybe more than that? Like, athletes need to be better than this. They need to be better. And so, ultimately, this is not going to be a good look at all. Not going to be a good look whatsoever for Rashee Rice for the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is while Patrick Mahomes has no star receiver. You lose Rashee Rice, things are going to be really, really bad in Kansas City. And this will be yet again a star player since Kareem Hunt ended up getting into trouble, and they released Kareem Hunt, and then in the end, they had to go and get another running back. And yet they got Isaiah Pacheco, luckily, but if you lose Rashee Rice, not going to be a great look. Not good at all. All right, so we got some Major League Baseball news, final story here. So the Oakland Athletics, who are set to become the Las Vegas Athletics in 2028 when the stadium is officially built. But until those times, between 25 and 27, the Oakland A's organization has announced that the A's will be set to play at a minor league park before the Vegas residency that will be located in Sacramento. So they'll be playing at least 3 years in a minor league ballpark in West Sacramento. So the move now ends the A's 56-year tenure in the Bay Area. And it's real sad. Sad enough for A's fans in Oakland for the longest stretch that they've had. And they appear to be headed for their 3rd consecutive 100-loss season. So the agreement with Sacramento is a 3-year lease with a team option for a 4th season in case the team's planned ballpark in the Las Vegas Strip is not completed in time for the 28th season. Now, A's will share Sutter Health Park, which roughly holds up 14,000 fans. 14. And that's with the Sacramento River Cats. That's the Giants' AAA team. So I feel bad. I feel bad for A's fans, but I also feel bad for the city of Oakland losing their star players, and it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. The A's know, Oakland, the whole city, they basically given up on the A's since the move proposal was out, and now this is even more of the evidence for the Oakland Athletics. I feel bad, and honestly, the A's are getting the similar treatment just like the Arizona Coyotes right now. And I will be talking about this here just about after the break. But so there's going to be news in the NHL. But however, they are getting the Coyotes treatment because the Coyotes are now playing with the Arizona State Sun Devils' arena, which doesn't even hold up that many people, that many fans. And they're already giving up on the Coyotes. The Coyotes have not had a winning season, and this is the similar treatment with the Oakland Athletics. So, for now, they'll play the rest of the season in Oakland, but then the next 2-3 years, they will be in Sacramento. Sacramento A's of Las Vegas? I don't know. It's bad, it's embarrassing, and I just feel really, really bad. All right, folks, that is the news.
This is the Hot Press.
So, as for many of you already know, the Snake Sports Talk Show merchandise is officially open and ready for purchases. So, for you guys that want to get in on Snake Sports Talk Show merchandise, from t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and beanies, and so much more, we got more designs along the way. Go online to snakesportstalkshow.com and get in on your merchandise. Powered by Fourth Wall. All the best prices with all the best colors and different designs, and all that you need to rep your favorite show on now Roku, on iHeartRadio, on all social media platforms known to man. Get geared up with your favorite show on social media, the snakesportstalkshow.com. Keep up to date as well with promotions that come up any given day of the week and the month. We've got plenty of deals. We're going to have a spring and summer sale. You do not want to end up missing out on that. At snakesportstalkshow.com. Link in the bio as well. Get yourselves geared up for merchandise. So rep your favorite show, and also send us your pictures when you guys get your merchandise, and you will get a chance to be featured and showcased on the show's social media platforms. So don't delay. Get in on the deals and rep for your favorite show here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. Not on.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network. Bobby Montagna on the Beantown Breakdown, Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Check out the Con Man live on the the Sports Corner, coming to a screen near you, giving you the greatest stories from basketball legends you've never seen before. Sharing their glory, building the toughness, and how they show off their swag. But only one man knows all that, and that's the Con Man. Join Michael Conceição, the Con Man at the Sports Corner, Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 Pacific on Sportsway Network.
All right, well, folks, we are going to definitely be capping off here on the show. I appreciate all of you guys for joining us here on Roku and on IR Radio and many, many more places known to man to get your podcast and your shows as well. The Snake Sports Talk Show. So the news just broke out in the NHL as we're focusing up on that to cap off the show. But basically, the Arizona Coyotes owner has come out and basically said that the Arizona Coyotes, they are up for sale, and the bidding price is $1 billion. Wow. $1 billion. So Coyotes owner Alex Morello has spoken to multiple potential buyers to gauge their interest in potentially buying the NHL franchise. And Morello is reportedly seeking upwards of $1 billion. For now, the report adds, Mr. Morello and the team are solely focused on the land auction and winning the bid and to keep the Coyotes in Arizona. The Arizona Coyotes deserve better. And I think we've been speaking out about that for the last few years. They've been a laughingstock of a franchise in the NHL since they first have been there. Now, Shane Doan and multiple players, they've been really, really good for the most part. But ultimately, you start to basically look at right now of what's happening with the Arizona Coyotes. I've been seeing this now for the last few years. When does anybody ever get excited about an Arizona Coyotes game anymore? I'm playing in a minor league arena, sharing it with Arizona State. This is embarrassing. But the owner now wants $1 billion for the bid to sell the franchise. And honestly, the Coyotes need to have a better owner. They need an owner with a winning mentality, an owner that honestly can deserve better for the players and for the fans. The players are so sick of playing in that arena. I've had multiple players come out and speak out how disastrous that minor league arena is. And that's not a good look for an NHL franchise. I mean, look, I've been to Ball Arena, okay? And the Colorado Avalanche fans for 20 years and more have been solely invested in the Avalanche. And you could see that from a winning mentality that goes from Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, and to right now, Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen. Okay, the Golden Knights, and people always seem to give the Golden Knights crap because they're a new franchise with a smart owner, with a great general managing front office, and they've got really good players who were once in franchises that they didn't have any room, or they basically gave them away. Didn't work in their system. You're going to honestly give the Golden Knights crap because they're smart enough to figure out the long-term IR? Come on. You want to win a Stanley Cup and you want to be better as a franchise? This is what you have to do. You got to figure out the money system. At the same time, be better and get better players. But ultimately, this is embarrassing for Arizona fans, and I feel for all of them. That arena barely holds over 10,000 fans. I mean, the A's right now are going to get the similar treatment, now going to Sacramento temporarily, that is sharing the same field as the Sacramento River Cats that only hold 14,000 fans. That is not enough for a Major League Baseball team. It's embarrassing, and I feel for Major League teams. But the Coyotes deserve better, and honestly, selling this franchise is the best thing that can happen. We felt so relieved when the Washington Commanders were sold to the Josh Harris Group, because Dan Snyder for years treated his employees like crap and at the same time punished the fan base because they wanted more money, but yet they were never going to reward them in any other way possible. Not even close. So my gut feeling with this is I want a winning franchise. And look, I mean, you know how many times that celebrity star Ryan Reynolds has been trying to own the Ottawa Senators for years? Maybe you should get up on Arizona, West Coast. Many people are moving to Vegas. And you've also got Hollywood stars in California. Okay, to own an NHL franchise it's the best feeling in the world. Just ask Stan Kroenke. Stan Kroenke owning the Avalanche and the LA Rams, and then owning the Denver Nuggets, and also the Colorado Mammoth. I mean, Kroenke has a winning mentality. Every single one of his franchises do, and you could see that. The only one who's basically the redheaded stepchildren of Colorado sports is basically the Rockies. And that's all a family business. But the Arizona Coyotes, make no mistake, okay, this is ultimately what needs to happen. Because right now, Alex Murillo, not exactly the ideal owner that's invested in this team to be a winning team. You could see that by the arena they play in. And I'm saying the same thing about the A's. Eventually, when they move to Las Vegas, the owner should sell the team because you're going to get new money involved. And the problem of it is that there are some ownerships that can be greedy. And I can't stand it. It's the worst feeling in the world. And fans get punished for this. They do. I don't understand this. Because if you look at a lot of winning cultures, the Dodgers, they've got so much new money. And Magic Johnson, it doesn't matter if he play basketball. It doesn't. He's a smart owner. And he brings in new money. He's the heart and soul of Los Angeles next to Kobe. Okay? And the Dodgers now are his bread and butter. Honestly, if the Lakers could, if Jeannie Buss ended up selling the franchise tomorrow, yeah, you bet your ass that Magic Johnson would end up owning the team. Of course. Lakers need to have a winning culture. But this is what you got to do. Listen, Arizona sports, from Arizona's basketball and football program, they have gotten better. But they are going to be different now. Arizona State, I've covered a really good athlete, CJ Fight. I think he's honestly going to be taking the league by storm eventually when he's eligible. But he is a great kid. Defensive interior lineman. That kid is smoking a lot of opposing offensive lines. The kid's going to be great. And he's got an Aaron Donald build. But Arizona State, they're definitely on the primes. But the Diamondbacks, they're fresh from a World Series appearance. And the Phoenix Suns, say what you want about him. But Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and a lot of really good players, the Phoenix Suns still continue to win games. What's going on with the Coyotes? That's the part everybody's trying to figure out. The Coyotes are not exactly a intimidating, competitive franchise. That's what needs to change. Honestly, but it's well worth it. You get a new franchise stadium. You ultimately end up getting new players when you get brand new money. And that's the end of it. That's ultimately what needs to happen. You got to make franchises better again. And ultimately, the Coyotes, yes, they're a desert organization, but if you're going to be competing with the Avalanche, the Stars, the Jets, the Golden Knights, the Oilers, and even the Vancouver Canucks, you got to get better as a franchise. You can't just constantly be a laughingstock for years. So, sell the team, Alex. Ultimately, it's what's best for the organization. All right, guys, that's going to do it here for the Snake Sports Talk Show live on Roku and on iHeartRadio. Appreciate all of you guys for joining me here and hanging out with me. Show is sponsored by BetUS. Sign up today. BetUS gives you 200% in bonus with 30 risk-free bets. BetUS, where the game begins. And by SeatGeek, don't lose your seat today with SeatGeek and promo code SnakeSports for $20 off. Appreciate you guys for joining on. It's the Snake Sports Talk Show. See you guys tomorrow night on the next edition of the Snake Sports Talk Show. Take care, guys.